This is the story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a family formed by a dad, a mom, and a beautiful girl. For many years, every one of them was very happy, till the day the mother died and she had to go to heaven. After a while, the father remarried with a very mean lady who became the girl's stepmother. A little while after that, the father also died, and the girl had to live with her stepmother and her 2 daughters. Since then, the girl was forced to work very hard, and as she was always dirty and covered with cinders, she was nicknamed Cinderella. Cinderella was in charge of every chore in the house. She cleaned, swept, and kept the house tidy while her stepmother and stepsisters treated her really bad. One day, an invitation from the king to attend a ball in the palace arrived to the house. Every family on town had to attend, since it was time for the prince to get a girlfriend. The stepmother dressed her 2 daughters with beautiful dresses for the ball and sent Cinderella to do more house chores. Cinderella swiftly finished all the chores she was sent to do, but when she finished, it was already too late. Everyone had gone to the ball, so she sat on a stool and cried in despair. Suddenly next to her appeared a fairy who greeted her kindly. "Hello, Cinderella. I am your fairy godmother. Why are you so sad?" And Cinderella replied, "Because I couldn't go to the ball and I've got nothing to wear." Then the fairy cast a spell and dressed Cinderella with a beautiful dress and turned a pumpkin into a carriage, turned the dog into a person, and she turned the little mice into horses. And just before the girl was off to the ball, she said, "Cinderella, you must remember that you have to come home at midnight, because the spell will break down then, and everything will go back to normal." Cinderella arrived at the palace, and everyone looked at her in astonishment. The prince asked her to dance and fell in love with her. Suddenly, the clock struck midnight, and Cinderella ran off home so quickly that a shoe fell on the way. The prince couldn't stop her, but he did find the glass shoe that fell off. The next day, the prince announced to the town that he would marry the girl who would fit into the glass shoe. When the prince's envoys arrived to the stepmother's house for them to try on the shoe, the lady locked up Cinderella in a closet so she wouldn't be able to try it. But the mice, who were friends with Cinderella, looked for the key and opened the door. Then, when Cinderella finally was going to try the shoe, the stepmother broke it. Cinderella searched for the other shoe, and when everyone saw it, they realized that she was the girl at the ball. The envoys took Cinderella to the palace, and when the prince saw her, he fell in love with her. Finally, Cinderella and the prince got married and lived happily ever after. The end. This is the story of the Little Mermaid. Once upon a time, there was a little mermaid named Ariel who lived at the bottom of the sea. She was the daughter of the mighty Triton, king of the sea. She felt a lot of curiosity for the human world. With her fish friends Flounder, Ariel collected human things. On the other hand, King Triton didn't like the idea of Ariel going to the surface. That's why his helper Sebastian Crab was always paying lots of attention to where Ariel was going. One night, Ariel, Flounder, and Sebastian went up to the surface of the sea and watched a celebration in honor of Prince Eric's birthday. Just by seeing him, Ariel fell in love. Suddenly, a storm hit and the ship sank. Ariel managed to save Eric, who was unconscious. After taking him to land, the Little Mermaid sang a beautiful song, but leaves before he wakes. When he recovers, he is fascinated by the Little Mermaid's voice. He tries to look for her, but in vain. Ariel went back to the ocean now, more convinced than ever of wanting to go with the humans. Her father, Triton, was very mad and forbade her to return to the surface. But the little mermaid went to visit Ursula, the witch of the sea. She told Ariel that she could turn her human and proposed her a deal, turning her human for 3 days in exchange for her voice. Ariel agreed, and she was turned into a human being. Ariel needed the next 3 days to get true love's kiss from Eric. Otherwise, she will spend all her life to live in Ursula's cave. Eric finally found Ariel on a beach, and he took her to his castle without knowing she was the one who rescued him when the ship sank. Ariel spent beautiful days alongside Eric. They almost kissed, but Ursula meddled to avoid it. The witch decided to disguise herself as a human under the name of Vanessa, who, besides using Ariel's voice, put a spell on the prince so he would fall in love with her. Next morning, Ariel found out that Eric and Vanessa were about to get married, but thanks to Scuttle the seagull, Ariel found out that Eric was being played by Ursula. The little mermaid got to the wedding place inside a barrel. Meanwhile, Sebastian told Triton about what's happening, while Scuttle interrupts the wedding with his sea friends. In the middle of all the chaos, Ursula lost Ariel's voice, which was inside a necklace in her chest, but Ariel manages to recover it. Thus, the spell under Ursula had cast over the prince was broken. Eric kissed Ariel in a heartbeat, but this wasn't fast enough, and Ariel went back to being a mermaid. And also Ursula, the witch, kidnapped the little mermaid and took her to her cave. Triton demanded the witch give her daughter back, but the only possible arrangement was that the king take Ariel's place in the cave. The king Triton accepted the deal. Her daughter Ariel was freed. The king was transformed into a tiny monster. On that moment, Eric arrived, hurting Ursula in order to protect Ariel. Furious, the witch turned into a giant monster, getting bigger and bigger. Ursula created a giant storm with a huge whirlpool. With it, she tried to kill Eric and Ariel. In the end, Eric managed to fatally hurt Ursula with his ship. Ursula dies and starts letting out some kind of smoke, with which King Triton and some others return to their normal selves. Triton, again the king of the sea, was convinced of the love of Eric and Ariel. Ariel came out of the sea, turned into a human being, and goes towards Eric. Thanks to her father, they got married on board of a boat in front of all their sea friends and her dear father.